Chapter 7 The Battle for Revenge begins. After a few trips, they were able to retrieve mostly all the important stuff from the bunker and take it to a truck, which would lead to HQ to then be examined. They watch the truck leave. Now that the formalities are over with, it's time to execute Operation Revenge. Operation Revenge. What is that, Syra? Well, isn't it obvious, Izuku? Alice wants revenge against Dracula and so do I. Bahadur chimes in, well Alice, what do we do now? It's really simple, we all charge in and fight all the commanders. Since they will be busy fighting you guys, they won't be able to signal Dracula, and then I can fight him. So a 3-on-3, asks Izuku. Well no, you see each general gets a floor to themselves in the tower and I want to distract them all at the same time, so it will have to be 1-on-1. Wait. Didn't we discuss this already? Said Bahadur rhetorically. Yeah, but I am way too tired right now and I don't want to forget the plan, responded Izuku to Bahadur's rhetorical question. Speaking of exhaustion, how about we all rest for a while? Syra. You do know that I do not require sleep, right? Yeah, and I do, so you can just sit and wait there like a puppy while we take a well-deserved rest. Before Alice could say anything back, Syra turned around and laid down on a futon provided by the driver before they left, per her request. She also got some for Izuku and Bahadur. Not Alice. -8 hours later. Izuku wakes up and then realizes that Bahadur is already awake. Why did you accept her offer? Normally you wouldn't do anything this reckless, asked Bahadur with a curious glare. Well, you see, as Izuku utters out the words, he shows Bahadur a message from the system. Her thirst for revenge is stronger than her thirst for blood. Quest. Help Alice in her quest to kill her once beloved comrade. In order to obtain the rewards, make sure she lands the killing blow. Oh, so that's why we're helping. Everything makes much more sense now, said Bahadur in a rather quiet tone. Izuku let out a small chuckle before getting up and deciding to wake up the rest of them. So much for vampires not needing sleep, huh? Muttered Izuku. Little did he know both Syra and Alice were awake, but they couldn't see the system, which meant that Syra and Alice now know that Izuku and Bahadur have some other to fight than for justice. Unfortunately for them, they don't have a clue about it. After a few minutes, everyone got their things and headed out. Mainly supplies like food, as the trek is rather long. They started walking with Alice leading the way. It was rather silent until Izuku asked a question, so Alice, do you have a preferred weapon? Alice turned around to look at Izuku and gave him a confused look. I mean, like, I use a scythe, Bahadur uses a longsword, and Syra uses a katana. Do you have a weapon that you are good with, or maybe a weapon that you like to use? I never really used a weapon in all my years, just using my hands was good enough. As my fingernails can grow to be sharper than most blades, or I can just use my vampire strength to punch a hole through people. But if it were based on which I enjoyed trying, I have to go with the odachi. Upon hearing this, Syra snickered. Huh, what's so funny? Screamed Alice. Syra's snicker was now boisterous laughter. She could barely say a sentence. It's just picturing you holding a colossal weapon like an odachi, considering that you're very small. Who wouldn't laugh? Alice was about to point at Bahadur and Izuku, but she then saw them covering their mouths as if trying to prevent themselves from bursting into tears. Alright, I get it. Now can we get going? After Alice said this, they all slowly stopped laughing, but under her breath, Syra mutters, an odachi. Not long after this conversation, they finally arrived at the tower. They were standing close but not too close to it. So is our plan to just walk through the front door? Asked Izuku, wondering if maybe Alice is not as smart as she seems. Unexpectedly, Syra spoke up, yep, that's right. I think I know why you are worried, but there is no need to. As I know for a fact that this tower does not contain any sort of camera. Thanks to the documents I found in the bunker, I was able to figure out exactly what was traded. And cameras were not a part of that list. Izuku let out a relieved sigh and then he turned towards Alice and nodded, meaning he was ready. Alice then glanced over and Bahadur, who then also nodded. Okay, let's go. Alice is the one to open the door. When she enters she notices that the room is dark and can hear humming. The rest somewhat forced their way in and didn't let Alice focus on the humming sound. However, she didn't need to since the person humming revealed themselves. Lilith. Alice whispers in shock, "Do you remember me?" Izuku and the rest stay silent as they don't know what to say. Lilith tilts her head, "No, why would I know you? You are all just a bunch of intruders. Bothering my beloved master." "Master?" asks everyone in unison. Although they already knew who she was talking about. "Yes, my master. My beloved. My Draculatilda. The way you described her in your pasts matches nothing with how I thought she would." Makes sense though, Dracula altered their memories before I was sealed away. I don't know exactly how much he altered, but I can guarantee that they at least have forgotten who I am. "See, we're still going along with the plan?" asks Bahadur. "Yep, now get to it," demanded Alice. "Yes ma'am," said Bahadur sarcastically. Bahadur charges at Lilith, who blocks his sword with her fingernail. He then uses this block to shive her to the side, allowing the rest to make a run for the stairwell. As they are about to reach it they see Lilith's black hair extending out toward them like a razor. Bahadur blocks the attack by cutting her hair. "You guys don't worry. I got this. Just keep going." Saira and Alice nodded while Izuku gave Bahadur a salute. "My hair. You cut my hair. Sorry lady, but your opponent is me. Unless you want to lose more of your precious hair, I suggest you stop worrying about my friends and focus on me." "Ha, I was never worried. Your friends will never reach Dracula." Meanwhile, Saira, Izuku, and Alice were running up the spiral stairs. Unfortunately, the tower is pretty tall, so the trip isn't a short one. The rooms were in a dome-ish shape, but the floor was not. So it is most likely built with some artifacts at play here. They reach the room to see a giant muscular man sitting down before them. He is bald. He was most likely turned into a vampire in his early to mid-20s. He stands up and says, "Out of you three, which of you is the strongest?" Before Saira could say anything, she was gently pushed forward. When she turned around she saw Alice was the one that pushed her. Before she could get mad, Alice gave her a nod. Saira remembered the plan and unwillingly went along with it. "So it's you. I guess it makes sense since you are the tallest out of the rest. Well, you two in the back. Go along past me." "You will let us?" asked Izuku. "Yes, since not even I can beat Silas." After the man uttered that name Alice felt a cold shiver down her spine. "Could I kill him if I see him again?" she thought to herself. And also thanks to this phrase, Izuku and Saira can assume that this man was Alistair. "You heard the man right. Go on ahead. I got this guy," reassures Saira as she then unsheaths her katana. Izuku and Alice quickly run past Alistair and head to the stairs opposite where they entered. Once they were out of sight Alistair spoke, "I hope you know that my skin is as hard as steel, so a sword will barely make a dent in me." Saira shook her head, "Huh. Well, then I guess now it's fairer." She charged forward and did a downward strike, but it was blocked by Alistair using his wrist. Saira jumped back to create some distance and spoke, "I guess you weren't lying." In the stairwell, Izuku looked over at Alice. He could tell that she was both nervous and excited to see Silas. However, Izuku knew that their quote-unquote reunion might just shatter her heart. But it was too late to find another solution. Izuku was the first to enter the room with Alice following shortly after. The dome-shaped room was dark and quiet. Normally the generals would try to attack or say something corny, but no. It was just the sound of their footsteps. Silas liked to be a little over the top, so maybe this is just to build suspense. Shortly after Alice said a loud sound played. It was an organ piano. They turned toward the sound and candles light up one by one to then reveal Silas playing the organ. Alice reaches her hand out but then puts it down as Silas stands up to face them. Silas looks to be around Saira's age but he is much older. "I commend you, intruders, for making it this far. But, you two will not make it past me. Silas then reveals a weapon. This weapon is known as a spear. Silas throws it at Alice and is about to stab her in the heart, but Izuku uses his scythe to redirect the attack. Alice was more in shock as she never thought she would struggle this much in deciding to fight. Izuku yells, "Go now. I got him." Izuku then runs towards Silas and jumps in the air going for a downward slice, but Silas dodges this and kicks Izuku to the wall. Izuku looks up to see Alice sprinting towards the stairwell, but he then sees the tears in her eyes before she is out of sight. Aw man, looks like she got away. Whatever, I'll just have to deal with you quickly. Chapter 8 Single Combat. This isn't good, it's already been a few minutes since our battle started and I can't even get close. I wish Izuku was here to show me her level, but it's too late for that. She is using her hair to keep me away and normally I would have charged in and suffered a few hits in order to land a killing blow, but her hair has a paralysis effect. It's so potent that it can paralysis just from slight contact with my skin. I found that out the hard way. I would just try to find a roundabout way to defeat her, but I don't have the luxury of time to waste. The sooner I can help them the better. That just means that I have to use magic. I kinda wanted to avoid using it as it's not the common way people fight here, but it seems like brute strength won't get me too far here. Using magic I casted beams of light to shoot at Lilith from her rear. I landed a hit and charged in as the rest of the beams followed from behind. But she sent a bunch of strands of her hair towards me, forcing me to pull back and give her space. Lilith then used a very few strands to block the beams and the wound I gave her healed. Must be nice to be a vampire, huh? Well, that was a bust, but all I have to do is just change it up a little. Focusing my magic, I created an invisible dome around her and channeled magic through it. Now she was surrounded by a dome of magic, and she was none the wiser. Using this dome meant that I could just auto-magic attack. Won't get into the details of how it works as it is pretty complicated, but in short, she is surrounded by a dome of turrets that shoot light magic at her. Unfortunately, this meant that I couldn't get close since then I would be hit by the attacks, so I can just wear her out and then go for the kill. Making the dome visible but also see-through, made me see her shocked expression. Which was hilarious, but then I activated it. I watched her struggle to keep with each beam as the direction changed after each shot. You know, now that I think about it, I can just let the beams land the final shot. No, that wouldn't be fun. Well, I can at least commend her for making me use magic, but magic in this world was most likely in books or something, so she never properly prepared a counter for something like this. It's nice to watch her struggle in vain. Why can't I move? Looking down at my feet, I notice a very thin strand of hair that reaches into my shoe. Surprised. I bet you thought you had me all figured out. Oh, look at you. Not so confident now, huh? Normally I would go up to the second floor to retrieve the others, but I know they won't make it past Alistair. Even if they do, no one can defeat Dracula, my sweet darling. He is an angel in disguise. Oh, I just remembered. Let me tell you a secret. I remember everything. Her saying that made me make eye contact. What did she mean by remember? So she knows who Alice is. Then why isn't she helping us? I can tell you're wondering why I'm not helping you or Alice. It is nothing complicated, it's just that I hate her. I despise her and loathe her existence. She didn't do anything to me, but mock me. I can tell that when she spoke to my beloved Dracula, or maybe I should say Nicholas. He only paid attention to her, only answered to her, and only ever spoke to her. Do you know how many sentences he spoke to me during that time? 232 sentences over the course of almost 300 years. But now in just 3 decades, he spoke 561 words to me. Don't give me that look of pity. How can I when I am paralyzed? This woman is just crazy. Well, that's enough of me messing around, I guess. Radiant Blast. I released a burst of divine energy, knocking her back and removing the paralysis. I wanted to avoid using divinity, but I can't waste any more time than I already have. What? How are you not paralyzed anymore? The face she makes made this worth it. You see, I was wondering why something felt off about you. You're an incarnation, aren't you? What are you talking about? Don't play dumb with me. You yourself could not get strong, so you borrow the powers of forces beyond you. Just who are you? Maybe this chant will help you. By the power of the mountain, by the strength of the sky, by the might of lightning, I call upon the power that lies beyond. Let the energy of the unseen guide me, granting me the might to overcome any challenge and triumph over adversity. No. Impossible. She told me you were. That's right, my name is not Bahadur, but instead it's. No. This isn't fair. Any last words? Even in the afterlife, I will keep you here until all your friends. Before she could finish her sentence, I cut off her head, resulting in her blood spilling everywhere. This means that I will have to clean my clothes as soon as the mission is over. From my experience, dry blood doesn't really smell good. Ow. What? Why does my head hurt? Don't tell me her blood can also paralyze. Damn it. I got careless. I can't move until the blood dries. Sorry everyone, looks like I can't join y'all for a while.